Hello again, it's Miss Cyran, and you are about to view part 2 of a 3-part screencast series on transformations. We're going to take a second and review the goals of this unit. Remember, our first goal was to identify and describe the 3 basic rigid transformations. We talked about 2 of those in the last screencast, reflections and rotations, and we will complete the third, translations, in this screencast. We will also take those translations and learn how to use both vector and coordinate notation to describe them. In the third and final screencast, you will learn how to identify and describe glide reflections and dilations along with frise patterns, and I will also give you some more detailed information on your tessellation project. So, translations. What is a translation? Well, it's also called a slide, and it's a translation in which the pre-image slides to a new location. So if we look here at these pictures, the picture on the left, the triangle here, is our pre-image. It slides over and up to a new location of the image, and that slide was represented by shifting 5 units to the right and 3 units up. That can be notated by 2 different methods. The first is coordinate notation, and also component form using a vector. So what are these 2 different forms? Well, coordinate notation simply starts with any point on the original figure, the pre-image, and tells you what you're going to do to it. So for example, in our picture here, each point was slid to the right on the x-axis 5 units and up 3 units on the y. Notice both of these coordinate values are positive, hence we move to the right on the x and up on the y. Vector notation is similar. We use the same numbers, but we write it as a vector, hence the arrows instead of the curved parentheses. This component form says the same thing. The 5 tells you how much you're going to move on the x-axis, and the 3 tells you how much you're going to move on the y. Again, both the numbers are positive, so we will be moving to the right on the x-axis and up on our y-axis. Now in class, we had viewed this Discovery Education video. If you missed it or would like a refresher, I strongly suggest you go to my website, pull up this PowerPoint presentation, and view the video again. Now what I'm going to do next is take a moment to go over the homework assignment, the transformations worksheet, that was associated with this section of the unit. Okay, so the first 2 questions dealt with translations and using coordinate notation to map these figures. Question 1, we're taking a rectangle and we are going to move it to its new location. Now if you notice here, the notation on this worksheet is a little different than what we talked about in class. The x-coordinate and the y-coordinate are on the opposite side of the number value. So it still means the same thing. Our x is going to be shifting +3, and our y will be shifting -2. This is the first time we've dealt with negative numbers, so this rectangle over here is going to shift 3 units on the x, but down 2 on the y. Now in question number 2, there is no number associated with the x-coordinate. So that number then is 0. So we are not doing any kind of a horizontal shift. We are only going to shift on the y-axis. And again, notice we're going to shift -5, so we're going to go down. Now we have a reflection. Remember, our x-axis is our horizontal axis, so we're going to take this arrow and we're going to flip it over the x-axis. And then our 4th question here talks about rotating a figure 90 degrees clockwise. Now remember, clockwise is the direction in which the clock rotates, so that is a turn to the right. This one's a little tricky, so give it some thought. The final part of your homework is asking you to describe these different coordinate notations. Okay, and there is an example right here in the directions. For example, for the translation, the point x, y being translated to 2 plus x, y your answer is going to be something like the figure shifts 2 units to the right. Notice, again, there is no number associated with y, so there is no shift on your y-axis. 5, 6, 7, and 8 should be pretty straightforward. Number 9 is a tough one. I gave you a hint here. This question is slightly different than those above. Make a guess if you have no idea. My suggestion might be to plot a couple points and then do what this translation says, to switch the x and the y. See if you notice a pattern developing. That concludes our screencast on translations. The third and final screencast will deal with glide reflections, frise patterns, and your tessellation projects. Until next time.